The truth I never saw coming. They say hindsight is 2020. Looking back, I wonder how much of the truth was staring me in the face, hidden in plain sight. But when you're in love, it's hard to see things clearly. At least that's how it was for me. When we were together, she had this jealous streak. I'd catch her watching me out of the corner of her eye, sometimes questioning my every move. She'd ask innocent sounding questions like, "Who was that texting you?" Or, "Why were you talking to her for so long?" At first, I thought it was kind of cute. I figured maybe she just cared too much. But as time went on, her insecurities started to feel a bit off. Still, I never gave her a reason to doubt me. I was loyal, maybe to a fault. What's funny is how much trust I had in her. If she said she was going out with friends, I didn't think twice about it. She'd head off to hang out with her group, sometimes with the girls, sometimes with a mix of guys and girls. It never bothered me. Trust was supposed to be the foundation of a healthy relationship, wasn't it? Despite her moments of doubt, things between us were good, or at least I thought they were. We laughed a lot. We had this chemistry that felt effortless. I really thought we were solid. But relationships, I've learned, are like icebergs. Sometimes there's a lot more hidden beneath the surface than you realize. The breakup. The breakup came out of nowhere. One evening, we were sitting together in her living room. She was unusually quiet, and I remember glancing at her, wondering what was on her mind. Then she turned to me, her face blank, her eyes avoiding mine. "I don't think we're right for each other," she said, her voice steady but distant. "We're too different, personality-wise." I blinked, trying to process her words. Different personalities? Sure, we weren't exactly the same, but that's what made things interesting, wasn't it? I wanted to argue, to tell her we could work through it, but something in her tone told me she'd already made up her mind. So I nodded. "If that's how you feel, I won't stop you," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. Inside, I felt like my chest was caving in. The days that followed were hard. I missed her more than I cared to admit. I kept replaying our relationship in my head, searching for the moment things had gone wrong, but no matter how much I thought about it, I couldn't find a reason. And then, like everyone tells you to, I decided to move on. The encounter. Fast forward to a few weeks ago. Life had gone on, and I thought I was over her. Then, out of the blue, I ran into someone who knew her, a guy I'd only met a couple of times back in the day. We were at a casual gathering, chatting about random things, when her name came up. "Oh yeah, I remember her," he said casually, sipping his drink. "She was something else. Did you hear about the time she cheated on her boyfriend?" My stomach dropped. I tried to play it cool. "No, I didn't," I said, my voice as steady as I could manage. "What happened?" He shrugged, oblivious to the weight of his words. "It was at some party. She hooked up with this guy and everyone saw. A few weeks later, she dumped her boyfriend and started dating the guy. It was kind of a mess." I nodded along, pretending this was just gossip about a stranger. But inside, I was reeling. The timeline he described lined up perfectly. That boyfriend she cheated on? It had to be me. Piecing it together, I couldn't let it go. The moment I got home, I started replaying everything in my head. That breakup, was it really about personality differences, or was it about something else entirely? Had she been hiding this betrayal all along? I needed answers. The problem was, I didn't know where to start. I reached out to some friends who might have known her back then. Most of them claimed ignorance. "I don't know, man," one of them said. "She didn't seem like the type to do something like that." But the words didn't reassure me. People often aren't what they seem. One friend, though, gave me a small piece of the puzzle. "She did ask me to hook up with her once," he admitted, avoiding my eyes. "But I didn't go through with it. I knew you two were dating." Hearing that stung more than I expected. It wasn't just the possibility of infidelity, it was the realization that I'd been so blind. How had I missed this? The last lead. There was one other person I thought might know the truth, a mutual friend she'd gone to college with. He'd been close to her, closer than anyone else. If anyone had the answers I was looking for, it was him. But reaching out to him after all these years felt awkward. What was I supposed to say? "Hey, long time no talk. By the way, can you tell me if my ex cheated on me years ago?" Still, the need for closure gnawed at me. I rehearsed the message a dozen times in my head before finally typing it out. "Reaching out." After days of overthinking, I finally sent the message. My fingers hovered over the keyboard before I pressed send. Hey man, it's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Quick question. Do you remember much about her name from back in the day? I've been hearing some things and was hoping you could clear something up for me. It was vague enough not to seem desperate, but direct enough to get a response. I spent the rest of the evening refreshing my messages, waiting for a reply. Hours passed, then a day, and still nothing. I wondered if I'd crossed a line. Maybe he thought it was weird. Maybe he didn't want to get involved. On the second day, my phone buzzed. Hey, wow, been ages. Yeah, I remember her. What's up? My heart raced. I debated how much to reveal. Finally, I typed, I heard something about her back then. Apparently, there was a party and she might have hooked up with someone while we were still dating. Did you ever hear anything about that? I hit send, then stared at the screen, my pulse pounding in my ears. The 3 little dots appeared, then disappeared, then reappeared. The response. When the message finally came through, it was longer than I expected. Yeah, I remember that party. I wasn't there, but I heard about it later. People were talking about how she hooked up with some guy. I didn't know you two were dating at the time, or I would have told you. Sorry, man. There it was. Confirmation. My worst suspicions weren't just paranoia, they were real. The weight of the truth. I stared at my phone, rereading the message until the words blurred together. Part of me felt vindicated. I wasn't crazy for feeling like something was off, but another part of me felt shattered. I'd spent years trusting her, believing in the relationship, and now it all felt like a lie. Memories of our time together flooded back. The nights we stayed up talking, the small gifts she'd surprise me with, the way she used to hold my hand in public. Were those moments real? Or were they just a smokescreen for what she was hiding? Confronting the past. I wanted to confront her, to demand answers. But what would that accomplish? We hadn't spoken in years. Bringing this up now would only reopen old wounds. Besides, what if she denied it? Or worse, what if she didn't? Instead, I sat in silence, letting the weight of everything settle over me. For years, I'd carried this idealized version of her in my mind. Now, that image was cracked, like a mirror reflecting something ugly and distorted. Letting go. Over the next few weeks, I grappled with what to do. Some nights, I'd draft messages to her, pouring out everything I wanted to say, but I never sent them. Instead, I focused on myself. I started running again, something I hadn't done in years. The rhythm of my feet pounding against the pavement became a kind of therapy. I picked up an old hobby, painting, and found solace in the way colors blended together on a canvas. Slowly, I began to realize something. Closure isn't about getting answers from someone else. It's about finding peace within yourself, even when the answers never come. Moving forward. One evening, I went for a run just as the sun was setting. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, and the air was cool against my skin. As I ran, I felt a strange sense of freedom, like I was leaving something behind. By the time I got home, I knew what I had to do. I deleted her number from my phone. I archived the messages I'd sent to my friends about her. And then I sat down and wrote myself a letter. Dear me, you didn't deserve what happened. You gave your all to someone who didn't value it, and that's not your fault. But now it's time to let go. The past is a place to learn from, not a place to live in. Move forward. You've got this. The end of the chapter. Letting go wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I'll never know all the details of what happened, and that's okay. Some questions don't need answers. What matters is that I've learned to trust myself again. As for her, I hope she's happy wherever she is. Maybe she's grown, maybe she hasn't. Either way, it's no longer my concern. Life goes on, and so do I.